anyone ever have a bad day? Like one of those days, I'm not talking about, you spilled coffee on yourself in the morning, but just one of those days where one after the other thing just kind of kept happening and piling up. I just had that the other day. My father had cancer, had a type of cancer that normally is not the dangerous one. It's a basal skin cancer, and normally basal cell is the one you want to get if you're going to get a type of cancer. But for some reason, his cancer that started on the top of his head over here, bald, so he was not protecting himself from the sun, it grew and started growing, and he went for a Mohs. And if you don't know what a Mohs is, where they actually start cutting skin around the cancer until they find margins that are considered healthy, and then they stop. But when it's on the face, there's not as much skin to pull. So after a whole bunch of different incisions and cutting and everything, they finally closed them up and said, hey, we're going to have to do something more invasive. And so he went to a specialist, and they ended up saying, well, this is the type of cancer that is actually following a nerve cell. And in the face, the nerve cells tend to like to go towards the eyes and towards the brain. So what they decided was to remove his left eye. So my father had really major surgery to get his left eye removed to get the cancer out. And luckily it did not go to his brain, but he did lose his left eye. So this whole area had to get skin grafts, and really terrible experience about 5 years ago. But we've been lucky enough to have my father around for all of that time, but he has been disfigured, and it's very difficult for him to go out in public and be the social person that he's always been. So it's been really hard to watch. But he hasn't been the same ever since, not just emotionally because he can't go out and do the normal activities he would do, but he is just not feeling well in general. He has what he calls episodes. He gets confused. He's very tired. He actually literally says he takes a knee where he feels like he's going to pass out. And the doctors have not really figured out exactly what it is. They say he's got allergies, and because they did disrupt the nasal passage when they cut into the bone. So he just has all these different things. So a few days ago, he got results back that the cancer is now on the other side of his face. And, we knew from the time he had that cancer removed that it would be moving to other areas, and that they would kind of just have to be cutting in different spots. However, the further away it moves, the more chance it's going towards nerve cells, following nerve cells, and the good chance it's going towards the brain. So of course, getting that news that it was back is very scary, because we know what the possibilities are. We know that if it is not acting like normal basal cell, that it is a good chance that it is going to be following nerve cells and possibly going towards the brain. And I know that he does not want to get such an invasive surgery again. I mean, that was a horrible, horrible thing for him to have to deal with. A few hours later, I found out that my sister had a test come back with very high levels of something that looks like it could be cancer. So she went in for more testing to find out what it is, and they've ruled out ovarian cancer, which is very good, but that added to the stress. And then a friend of mine I spoke to, who is a dear, dear friend of mine, been trying to have children now for years, and she called me crying, having issues with her husband, her relationship, because she's mourning the loss of the possibility of her being a mom, of her getting to have that experience and feeling like she's not in the mom club, and just feeling like she's missing out on this whole part of her life that she just always thought she'd be able to have. And then after that, yeah, it's one of those days. Then after that, my half-sister calls me to say that my mom fell into a trap where somebody called, messaged her, sent her an email, I'm not exactly quite sure, about some free money that the government was going to give her. And we've all heard that, and I feel like I have always thought that people would just see through it, but she didn't. And it looks like she gave some really important information about my mother's maiden name and all these things, that of course that's how they do the fraudulent activity, and get all of your information to be able to now make new credit cards and do all these things. So then they just have to add to that on top of my parents having all these other issues. And there was a few other little things throughout the day, and it just kind of got to one of those points where I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is just too much from one day. And I started to feel in my chest, that tightness in my chest, and my throat almost closing up, like it was hard to breathe. And, you know, there was an issue actually with my tenants, to just kind of add on to it. And I turned around to my husband, David, and I said, I literally cannot take another phone call. I can't answer another text message. I need you to take care of it. And he did. He stepped up and he took care of it, took care of the issues. And then I was able to speak to my best friend. And of course, with her, I was able to feel like I could breathe again and have that person, because she's my go-to. So why do I share any of that? Yes, of course, I want you to know what's going on, but the really bigger thing is I am very lucky to have a partner who supports me. Life brings us some shit sometimes. Life brings us things that we have no control over. We don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. Why would we choose a partner who adds to that stress? Why would we choose someone who we know pretty regularly is going to cause drama, is going to cause that pressure and frustration and overwhelmed feeling? Why would we choose that? And I was thinking about how years ago, when I was in my toxic relationships, if I would have been having to deal with what I'm dealing with, what I dealt with on that day, and what I am now going to currently continue dealing with until we find more information out, if I would have had to be dealing with all the toxicity at home too, I don't know what I would be doing. I don't know how I would be reacting. Having your best friend that you can tell anything to, and you feel supported and feel good to share, and know that when you can say, I need a break, and they can listen and help you, that's what you're looking for in a relationship. You're not looking for someone to add to the stress. You want to make sure that when you go home, that you have that safe place, that the people around you are safe, that the person that you are with is safe. You want to feel calmness when you are around your best friends and your partner. Those should be one and the same. If you can't tell them everything and share everything, when the big life things happen, you're not going to be prepared to even know how to start to deal with it, because you will already have that foundation of discomfort. I said this to my friend the other day, you know, my bullshitometer, what I used to be able to deal with and put up with and chose to put up with, is very different now than it's ever been before. And that's because I'm healthy, because I am going home to a person who is healthy, and we can talk about things and share things. But when your bullshitometer is really high and you deal with all this bullshit, that when the life stuff happens on top of it, it just becomes so overwhelming, it's hard to deal with anything. So you start to notice all those health issues start up. We get all these sicknesses, we get stressed out, we get, you know, the pressure in your chest could easily turn to heart issues, could lead to cancers, could lead to, you know, arthritis, because it causes inflammation and causes, you know, all of these problems. When you're looking at your health, everything is interrelated. Your social health and your emotional health and your physical health and your spiritual health, all of those things, when one thing isn't working properly, other areas start to not work properly. So let me leave you with this. Life is going to have its ups and downs. Life is going to be difficult. Who you choose for that journey is going to be really important. Don't choose someone who's going to add to that stress. Choose someone who's going to be supportive and validating and peaceful, and that place that you call home and safety when you need it the most.